how to generate cash flow in real estate. So welcome back. Now in this episode, I'm going to answer your question, how to generate cash flow in real estate. Now, cash flow is important. Everybody that has rental properties, they're going to talk about cash flow, which they really have because they spend 110% of value, and guess what? By the time they get it financed, they don't have any money left over. Now we're going to learn how to buy at tax auctions where we get them at the right price. When you get them at the right price, you're going to be able to make cash flow. Now, if you don't want to buy properties, you're going to do tax lien certificates. Cash lien certificates are cash flow vehicles. Now, it's absolutely amazing to me to see how many different ways there are to profit in real estate. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about how to do some unusual things, but you're going to find this is going to be very easy. It's basic. It's fourth grade math as we do it. But once you understand it, you can make a whole difference in your life, talk about a lot more money. So I'm going to give you a lot of cash flow solutions in this video. So pay attention. You might even want to watch it a couple of times. But everything I'm going to talk about works. So I've been involved in not only tax liens and tax deeds for 30 years, but I've been involved in other real estate beside this. Now, one of the things you have to do with real estate is you ultimately have to sell it. So if you can learn how to sell it, if you can add financing to it, it's going to make a big difference. So I started out as a single-family home investor. I rented those properties. Then I grew to buying small apartment properties and finally into office buildings. All of that works, but now we're just going to learn some very basic stuff. So as I said, my name is Ted Thomas, and I've been involved in tax liens and deeds for about 30 years times. Now, this is a secure investment if you get involved in tax lien certificates. Okay, now when I discovered this business, I never turned around and looked back because there was so much margin. You could buy low and you could sell it low, or you could buy low, you could sell it high, or you could buy at tax auctions with tax liens and you could just get income from it. All right, so when you buy at a tax defaulted auction called a tax deed auction, you're going to find out there's large margins. By that I mean the price you buy and the price that it's worth are very high. Now I'm going to tell you how to make money with those margins in just a minute, so I'll be right back. Okay, now this lesson I'm answering your question, how to generate cash flow in real estate. Now, when you want to generate cash flow, you're going to have some margin and you're going to have something that people want. Now, people want low payments and they want low down payments. So when you get finished with this video, I'm going to show you some of the examples of real money transactions. So when you get to those, you might want to go back and watch a couple of times and make sure you get it. But the point is, we're trying to get you so you can transition into being a real estate property investor or a tax lien certificate investor, one or the other. That's going to make quite a bit of difference in where you're going to be cash flow down the road. So I'm answering the question, how to generate cash flow. Now, there's going to be dozens of unique ways to do this, so I'm not the only guy that has the answer to this question, but I am going to show you one that'll work, and it always works. Okay, so if you look at this slide, that's really like a money tree, isn't it? All right, well, that's what you need with a property that's going to generate money. You want to be able to get cash flow out of the property. Very difficult to buy real estate and get cash flow. So everybody wants a rental property, but then they find out by the time they get done the maintenance, pay the taxes, pay some management, they're not going to have any cash flow. Well, this business is different because we're going to buy the properties for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar, and we're going to have cash flow. So I'm going to show you how to structure those deals, and I'm going to do it with tax auction properties. Now, I've been doing that for over 30 years. You can start with small properties, or you can use big properties. By that I mean small in terms of dollars or big dollars. It works with all of them, but the key is you got to think about how you're going to make it lucrative for the investor. You're going to have a low down payment. Are you going to have installment sales? Are you going to sell it to them way under market? In other words, what's their competitive advantage? And if they don't have one, folks, they're not going to talk to you very long. I can tell you that right now. Okay, now installment payments work in many ways. America buys on installments. Most cars are sold on installments. Many appliances in the home are sold on installments. And now people are actually selling real estate on installments. Now, how are they doing that? Well, they might buy it with a credit card, and they use the credit card, so they're paying it off with a credit card. However, they're going to sell it with installment payments, so that's going to be great because the installment payment will come in, it'll pay the credit card after you finish and get your money back, and then you're going to have cash flow. So some people brag about these credit cards. There's gold ones, there's silver ones, there's black ones, there's whatever. I'm going to tell you it's okay to use a credit card to buy, and many of the counties will allow you to do that. Now, for years, all of the gurus said, don't use your credit cards. Well, you don't want to use your credit cards to be going down to Macy's and Home Depot and all that, but you do want to use your credit cards where you can make an investment that's going to make money. I'm not negative in either way, but if you can't pay attention to where your bills are, you don't want to start using credit cards, because if you do, you're going to get in trouble very, very quickly. All right, so today people can buy a house on credit. They could furnish the house on credit. They could get out and get a new car on credit. And so just using credit cards and credit, they could be in a relatively new house, and they could have new furniture, and they could have a new car. But somewhere along the line, they're going to have to pay for it. So I'm talking about investment properties. I'm not talking about your personal property. So with investment properties, you want to buy them low, be able to sell them low, or be able to sell them with installment payments. All right. Now, this is not an unusual business. It might be unusual to you right now, but America has been buying on payments for decades, and people have been selling on payments. It's called seller financing. That's been going on for absolutely decades. Now, in the middle part of the country, they use a contract of sale. Contract of sale is simply a sale document from one person to another, and then you make payments on it. So why not do the same thing? Now, it takes a little time to get your money when you're getting payments. But real estate really it's a marathon. It takes you time to make your money, but you make much bigger money when you do payments than you do when you just get cashed out. Now, cashing out is the sprint, and the marathon is doing installment sale. So you might want to keep some of that in the back of your mind. It all works both ways. You maybe sell your first one and get cash to live on, sell your second one to get nice payments and have it coming in. All right, so I'm not negative on either one of them, but my big thing is let's buy them right. If you can't buy them right for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and you start paying 110%, which people do for rental properties all the time, that's because they just don't know. They don't have a clue on what we're doing. But once you get it, you're going to be okay. All right, now, I've been in business for a long time. I built up a business well over $200 million in property, but I leveraged them too much. What I did is I would have 90 and 100% financing. Well, if the market drops, you're in trouble because the values are dropping, but you get those high payments. So you don't want to do that. You want to be able to buy low at the auction and then have all that margin to where the market is. And the market's going to be very close, or at least near, what the assessed values are for property. So you want to buy them way under that, all right? You need margin if you're going to make money in this business, okay? Now, if the market drops, you're going to be still okay because you're going to be getting payments. So the real margin is set up so that you're going to have cash flow. The key to this whole business is buy low, sell high, or buy low and sell with payments so that you have margin to work with and you're going to get cash flow moving all the time. There's no reason not to have cash flow. If you're selling, there's no reason not to have cash flow. So think about what I said. You want to make sure that you're going to have that. All right, so let's look at this from some pretty positive perspectives now so that you can kind of get onto this, okay? Now, if you don't have any money, you got a lot of problems. And there's a lot of people with problems, but we become problem solvers because if those people have been through bad times in their life, they're going to have poor credit scores. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Now, money may be a problem, okay? It's a problem for everyone. All right, if you don't have money, you're going to be miserable. So let's think about this. People say, you're not going to be happy with money. Well, to those people I say, if you don't have any, you're going to be miserable. You need to be able to make money. You can do that with a system like this for a couple of reasons. One, you're going to be able to buy it right. Two, you're going to be able to sell it to probably 25 or even 30% of the market that can't get financing from a bank. The banks don't want those small loans, and the banks don't want people with poor credit score. If you got a bad credit score, you can buy at the auction, and you can sell to people with poor credit scores, and you can do it on a contract so you can get the property back in like a month. So let's make some suggestions. First of all, if you've got a bad credit score, you're going to be a sad person when it comes to buying. So you're going to have to get an investor or someone to help you with this, or you're going to have some cash. You got to get your credit fixed because America runs on credit. Now, this massive market that's out there is people that have been through a divorce, or maybe they made a lot of bad decisions, or they've been through a bankruptcy, and what's happened? Their life is kind of split apart. So these people need what? What do they need? They need solutions. What kind of solutions do they need? They need a solution to get themselves in some kind of property where they get a roof over their house, and they can do it for low down payment and low payments. All right, to rent an apartment in some places that are nice today costs $1,500 or $2,000 even to rent an apartment in just a little better than average neighborhood. All right, a lot of these people can't even afford that. They're willing to take a lesser used and abused house and get started with their fixer-upper process on their own if you can get them in for a low down payment and some kind of payment. If you let them have installment payments, they're going to fall in love with you. Why? Because they can't get credit from anybody else, but they can get it from you, and you're not going to have to take a big risk, because if they don't pay you, you can just evict them. All right, loan brokers, bankers won't even talk to people with bad credit score. So bad credit score is going to be a good market to you. All right, so what are we learning about today? We're learning about how to generate cash flow in real estate. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways right now with less than average houses that have been used and abused. So let's say we go to the auction, and at the auction we find a property that has a tax assessed value of around $70,000, but it's used and abused. Well, somebody else will want that property. But if it has a real value, a $70,000 value, what could we do with it? Well, first of all, we could buy it and try and buy it at a low price. So let's say we buy it at 20 cents on the dollar. Okay, when you buy, there's no mortgage. You bought it at a low price. And so what are you going to do with it? Well, you have a choice. You could buy it low and sell it low. So if it was a $70,000 house and you got it for 20 cents on the dollar, well, what did you pay? You paid 14. Look at the math on the screen. $70,000, you paid 14. What's the potential? Well, why don't we just sell it low? There's a lot of people out there that will buy it if you'll sell it low, because you have that $70,000 value on the house. So don't try to sell it for 70. Sell it for 34. Well, you bought it for 14. Look at the math on the screen. Anybody can figure that math out. So it's not a great house. It may be used and abused. So what? Somebody will want to buy that for the right price. Now, I didn't say to buy any junkers. I didn't say that. But structurally, this looks okay. Neighborhood's probably okay. Made yourself $20,000. You want to make more than that? Well, here's a way to make more than that. You're after what we talked about today, how to generate cash flow. Watch how we generate cash flow with real estate. So we already know what the value of that property was. We bought it at the auction. We only paid 20 cents on the dollar. Why don't we sell it with an installment sale? Why don't we just do like the bank? Get a $5,000 down, I should say, and do installment payments. Well, if you rented that house for $650 a month, that's going to be a great deal for somebody. Someone can now have a place to live for $650 a month. Well, what if you rented it? What if you had an installment sale for 120 months or 10 years? Look at the total money you'd bring in. You invested 14. Look up on the top. You invested 14, and now you're going to get $83,000 back in payments. Take away the 14, you're still left with $69,000. Folks, which do you choose? Let's go back to where I started. We bought the property right at the auction. Okay, if we bought it for 20 cents and we just want to sell it, we can have cash flow. Nothing wrong with that. All right, you want cash flow over a long period of time? Why don't you just sell it on payments? I'm using different houses because there's tons of these out there. Average tax auction is going to have 50, 75, 100 of these properties. You could be doing this right now. All right. Now, this business works. Why does it work? Because we can buy it right. We're going to buy from the tax collector. We're going to get a property with no mortgage on it, and we're going to get way under the tax assessed value. So the margin you need is the margin when you purchase it and what the value is. You can sell anything below that. You can sell it quickly for cash. Otherwise, take payments. And where are you headed? Well, when you're taking payments, you're going to have one heck of a bunch of money very quickly if you just make the payments till you get your $14,000 back, and you're going to get payments from that from collections every month. You're going to have a pot of money to work with. What I'm basically talking about today is wealth creation. Every one of you can do the same thing. All right, below me, there's going to be a free gift for all of you. So take my free gift. Be sure and do a subscription. If you liked what you heard, well, then give us a like on it and let people know that. And if you have questions, you didn't get it, just ask me the question and put it on in the chat box or the question. Let me know what it is, and we'll answer your questions. I'm Ted Thomas.